So we've continued our engagement with various partners in the margins of the CARICOM heads now taking place in Boston, St. Kitts and Nevis. We met with the British High Commissioner, Mr. Simon Mustard, to discuss possible areas of support for a big push. There is in fact an interest from the UK in working with us through UK Export Finance to provide concessional financing for our priorities. And as I've explained before, the priorities include food security, energy security, trade logistics and connectivity, and of course we have financial inclusion and deepening. We looked at some possible areas. I think two areas of particular interest are connectivity and energy security. And we expect to have some follow-up discussions with the UK Export Finance colleagues in the next few weeks. The High Commissioner also inquired and requested an update on our progress with respect to the establishment of the regional regulator for citizenship by investment programs. As some of you may know, the Eastern Caribbean Central Bank is leading that work as part of the Interim Regulatory Commission, and that work is now advancing quite well. The law, as you know, has already been passed in all 5 countries, and we are now working to set up the regulator this year. So the UK has been supportive in terms of giving us feedback on the draft law, and we are now currently working on standards. And the UK has also indicated its interest in reviewing and giving input on those standards when we make them available. So again, good discussion, which we hope to continue in the next few weeks with UK colleagues as we look to support and advance the big push. Shortly thereafter, we met with the Caribbean Private Sector Organization, Dr. Patrick Antoine, the Executive and Technical Director, as well as Mr. Alistair Munzi. In particular, we received the final report on the very important study that was done on de-risking CSME imports, essentially looking for ways to reduce the cost of living. You would recall last year the key finding of that report was that the CARICOM region could save in excess of $1 billion by diversifying their sources of imports. So whether that's Mexico, Turkey, South Africa, Malaysia, various places, Portugal, Spain, there are a number of opportunities there for us to lower the cost by as much as potentially 40–50% were we to diversify our sources of imports. So the final report is completed, and we were furnished with a copy of this report for us. We, of course, had collaborated with this Caribbean Private Sector Organization in September last year when we hosted an important webinar just as they were concluding the study. We also discussed with the Caribbean Private Sector Organization how we could continue working in research and advocacy in this area. From the central bank perspective, we are very keen to see a reduction in the cost of living. This is a top of mind issue for all our member countries. And what we are as a CPSO to consider is a basket of goods based on the data. Some of the most heavily used imported foods, whether and to what extent we can identify those and take a pilot project to source them alternatively and effect a reduction in their price. So that is a piece of research we want to do. In addition to that, we discussed the issue, so that's on research. We also discussed connectivity, trade logistics and connectivity for food, recognizing that even in our region, there are countries with surplus and there's some countries with deficits, but we need better shipping arrangements to move food across the region. We discussed how we could collaborate on that, both in terms of research, but also private sector initiatives, because the private sector has to actually do that with support, obviously, where the right policies from government and an agency like the central bank working with our banks. And we also looked at the question of food security as well. So again, food security and trade logistics and connectivity were two of the key issues that we discussed with the private sector organization. There are a number of issues that the CPSO wants to work with us on, but we wanted to pick 2 that we could start our work on that support the big push, that are aligned with the big push, and try to make progress there. The because as I always say, to be effective, we have to be selective. So again, very good engagement with the CPSO, Caribbean Private Sector Organization, and we look forward as a central bank to continue to collaborate with them as we move forward.